is a complex and nuanced conversation, okay? We're gonna talk about oppression in Black people in the United States. Remember, as we enter into a particularly nuanced conversation, these are students.
I mean, if someone just came up to me and was like, I'm oppressed, like it was like.
Well, no one's gonna come up to you like that, but you know, it's the message you get. You're the cause of the oppression. So now what? Now how close to it do you wanna get?
Are we thinking like literally like her, or are we just speaking in general?
Well, she experiences it as her. When we use the word oppression, what does that say about somebody's agency? If you put the same amount of energy into overcoming the oppression that you spend talking about the oppression, you wouldn't be oppressed. When truly what you're saying is disadvantaged, experiencing discrimination, experiencing prejudice, or being having to deal with some stereotypes, a number of things. That's a very different conversation than oppressed. When you think about people who are oppressed, befriending them, connecting with them, like, oh, there's this oppressed group of people out there. To what degree does that draw you to them, and to what degree does that like, oh man, I don't know if I'm allowed to, or if I can, or how much does that make you feel like, oh, I gotta go really hang out with Black people, and I gotta really understand what this oppression is all about as this white middle class woman. And it's like, yeah, I gotta be on that. I gotta be in it, man. I wanna be part of this conversation.
I've always found like all of that interesting, and I want to be knowledgeable about it in case that comes up in conversation, but I don't necessarily think that someone identifying as oppressed would like draw me in or push me away. I think if it came up in conversation, we were talking about it, I'd find like their perspective interesting, but I don't think that would be the sole thing that's drawing me to them.
Okay,
like
that's a really cool answer.
I mean, if someone just came up to me and was like, I'm oppressed, like it was like.
Well, no one's gonna come up to you like that, but you know, it's the message you get. It's just the message.
It definitely depends who it's coming from. Like, I think there's like a lot of different types. Obviously, we pointed out like there's wealth, and then there's racial. So like if it's like a rich white guy coming up to me and like trying to like portray that, it's like,
yeah,
come on, bro. Like,
yeah. Okay.
I think adding to that, I think it depends what they say they're like being oppressed for.
Okay.
Like if they have a good enough reasoning of like oppression, like I think you use like the white guy coming up and saying that. I think if they use it like, oh my God, going back to the job thing, oh my God, I didn't get picked for this job over a Black person who I'm equally qualified for.
Mm-hmm.
And they say, oh, it's because I'm oppressed. I don't necessarily think, unless they have a good enough reasoning with that, but I think that'd be like, that would kind of push me away a little bit.
Okay, and well, listen, you wanna know what's something else that might push you away? You and I are the cause of the oppression. So now, sit with that for a second, that you sit. Leave me out of this, right? This is your burden to carry.
Okay.
You're the cause of the oppression. So now what? Now how close to it do you want to get?
Me personally, I would want to do all I can to like not be the cause and try and help like make a better difference. So if I had to press them, make a difference to like try and help with that situation.
Yeah.
In any way that they think that I can help without making it worse. But if they say like, oh, you're just making it worse, and that like pushes me away, then I'll say like it. Okay. I think it depends on.
Dude, awesome answer. She's saying like, I want to do something, I don't know what to do, and where do I go? And you want to bail her out, or you just want to let her? Wait, Brooklyn, I want to hear from you, man. Do you feel like you want to bail her out? What do you want to say to her? Because that's the call. She's it, man. You got a chance to look at the oppressor.
Like, are we thinking like literally like her, or are we just speaking in general?
Well, she experiences it as her. Like It's not like you can say, oh, it's white people out there, but at some point in time, it's each individual white person who's the oppressor. So it's like, just by breathing, I don't know what we do that causes us to be the oppressor, but.
Well, to get on that, like I said, I have like white ancestry, so I was always like was able to be raised to kind of like see. I know that all white people are not racist and all white people are not the cause of oppression. Like that's very obvious. But at the end of the day, like y'all ancestors do have a big part of our oppression. Like I stated when I first like came on here, I said like America was not built for black people to succeed. Period. So. Yeah, y'all ancestors play a big part in our oppression. Not saying you guys directly or generations after, because like I said, every white person isn't racist, and every white person can be educated on how to, alleviate those issues as Megan was hinting at. But y'all play a big role in it because America was built for white people to succeed.
You ready? This is another one that conservatives are asking all the time. When we use the word oppression, what does that say about somebody's agency? If the narrative is, whether it's from black people or white people, they're oppressed. So no matter what, they're oppressed. So how much agency do they have, therefore?
They don't really have any, I guess.
I don't know.
They're oppressed. Yeah, they don't. They're oppressed. Yeah. What do you? I don't get the question. Like
no. That's a good. No. This is it. So just elaborate on that. Like how do you see that? Like imagine it's an wow moment. The issue is, it feels like when you say that somebody is oppressed, we say that these two people are oppressed. That means seems to me that we're also taking away their agency. If we walk around with this idea constantly talking, especially when black people do it. If Megan does it and Sar does it, it's different. But if you all reference oppression all the time, what many people conclude is that you're so busy talking about oppression that you're not trying to overcome the oppression. If you put the same amount of energy into overcoming the oppression that you spend talking about the oppression, you wouldn't be oppressed, right? So that's what I mean about agency. It's like the conversation itself lends itself to an outsider going like, yeah, man, well, just stop talking about it and could do something. So if both of you could respond to that, because I know a lot of people think that. I know what the conversation is, so it's not, but.
I mean, yeah, so like when it comes to like people calling themselves like oppressed, I feel like maybe people are using it like a handicap potentially. Yeah. So a handicap toward progress, and progress toward people becoming equal, because that's like the end goal for everybody. We all want to be equal. We all say we have equal.
No,
rights.
We don't want to be equal, bro. Everyone wants an opportunity.
Equal opportunity.
Equal opportunity. Yeah, exactly.
So instead of you're saying like we're spending more time on like the past and not more on the future instead.
Right. Okay. And this is where Brooklyn, we're going to bring it around to talk about how the past influences the present.
Which the past is extremely important in order to get a better future.
Brooklyn, do you have a thought about this question about agency and like how people might perceive that? Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the only people that might perceive that are, ignorant white people. And to those people, I would just like to say, I just feel like everything I'm saying keeps wrapping around. Like, America was not built for us. So it's going to be really hard for black people to try to, we can keep talking about it, but it's very hard for us to advance when these systems were ultimately made for you guys to begin with.
Okay.
So it's like we can't always in politics, there's plenty of, we just got like one of the first black Supreme Court justices, and the Supreme Court has been around for years. You know what I'm saying? So with stuff like that, like, y'all, white people want white people to advance, simply. So with that being said, I'm not saying all white people, but the way the systems are built, y'all want white people to advance, simple. So with that being said, I feel like, we can talk about as much as we want, but you guys don't help either. If we don't have the help of white people, then there's no way that we can try to do anything unless there's a big revolt or something and we take over. But that's not happening. So the only way I feel like those things are, it's not. So the only way I feel like those things are gonna change is the systems are dismantled, or there are more white people that become allies to help alleviate the issue in the long run.
Okay, I want to go back to the first thing that you said about white people or people who would say that are ignorant. I would disagree with you on that in the following sense, right? I think that if I hear someone talking about something all the time, it wouldn't be far from, if I hear someone saying like, hey, I'm really oppressed, if I say it, like college teachers or, professors are really oppressed and I'm really oppressed and I have to deal with all these knuckleheads. And if you understood the kind of knuckleheads I had to deal with every day and like, oh my God, and I've just talked about it all the time and other people talk about it and so on, it wouldn't be a very far conclusion for you to say like, whoa, this guy, he doesn't feel like he has any power to change the situation or like stop being a teacher or stop this or do that or do whatever, right? That it's just kind of like, it feels like I don't know.
Yeah, I just feel like you can't compare like something that's small to such a like grand issue.
Well, I'm just trying to use some kind of analogy, right?
Yeah, that's fair. But yeah, like at the end of the day, I just feel like, I don't know. No matter like how much there's people that always talk about this. There's activists that's talked about this issue for years. Like,
sure,
people try to, let black people not be oppressed. That's what we have activism for. Like people, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's not like we don't try, but it's hard to try when you have people who don't want to help you. You know what I'm saying? Like the people that made the issue, they don't try to help. So it's like you can only do but so much of what you have.
Okay.
You know
All right. So listen, you heard what Brooklyn just said. She's like, it just came out again. It's like, yeah, people have really tried to keep black people from being oppressed. So I want to start with you. Do you hear what she's saying when she says that, right? When she's saying, people have always worked hard to keep black people from being oppressed. Does your mind go to what she means by oppressed, like not boot on the neck, but rather like, yeah, okay.
Or like disadvantaged.
Disadvantaged, yeah. It's a strong word, man. When that rolls off your tongue like that, you really need to know that when truly what you're saying is disadvantaged, experiencing discrimination, experiencing prejudice, or being having to deal with some stereotypes, a number of things. That's a very different conversation than oppressed. And so there are consequences of that. So when she says oppressed, so you're saying, you're listening to Brooklyn have this conversation about, black people being oppressed. Are you cool with that? By you, by the way.
What do you mean, like, cool with that?
Can you reframe that in your brain? She doesn't really mean it that way. She doesn't mean it boots on the shoulder, because no one's got their boot on her neck. You're a student at Penn State. You were like extremely privileged. Angel and I can take you down to Haiti and be like, okay, man, we'll show you some oppression. And so for you, you're relatively privileged. Even though you're from the lower class, you're still like, you're now standing in shoes these 4 years here. It's like, damn, all right.
Yeah,
Would you say that?
I'm gonna say no and yes. I'm privileged. I'm very much privileged because everybody does not have access, like the ability to be able to go to like education outside of high school. So obviously I'm privileged for that part. But no, like being low income and like being raised by a single mom, that in itself comes with a lot of adversities and issues on its own. So
a lot of difficulty.
Yeah, like I'm not gonna say that I'm very privileged because I faced like a lot of struggles growing up. Like
for sure.
You know what I'm saying? But
no, I'm gonna say in these 4 years.
Oh, in these 4 years.
In these 4 years, you're like, pretty.
Yeah, especially being able to get a full ride. It's probably white people that can't even say they got that. So yeah.
Yeah. Do you have a full ride?
I got a scholarship and I'm in state, so that's why I chose.
So it helps. Yeah. Okay. Do you have anything you want to add, bro?
I think I kind of understand. Like, I think she's really just pointing out how like systematic racism is like a very like big reason as to like why, people like not. Like, I think a lot of what you're talking about is just like systematic racism. Like the system is built from the bottom to, not allow them to succeed from the beginning. So that's why I guess a lot of people, like conservative white people would they're not able to see it as clearly because they just never have to deal with like systematic racism at all.
Okay, all right, I got that. So we're gonna talk about that.